Today's topic is one hitting close to home for many of us. The COVID pandemic has had a disproportionate effect on men and women. According to a study by the Brookings Institute, 1 out of 4 women who lost their jobs during the pandemic reported the loss was due to a lack of child care, twice the rate of men. We wanted to see the other consequences there were, so we brought in Kasha Patel and Elena Torres to hear about their experience. How has the pandemic been for you?
Well, I had a baby right before the pandemic hit, about 2 months beforehand. So my life was changing in a big way anyways before the pandemic. And then all this happened. And I think like a lot of mothers, all I can say is that it's just total chaos. Like this call right now, like this Zoom, like this looks chill. Like everything looks fine behind me. If I turn this camera around, my kid broke my tripod right before I got on. I'm not even kidding. Right before this, she broke it. So now I have a ring light up on a chair that looks like a unicorn. There's like fake kitchen toys everywhere. It was like a circus until the second that this started, because my husband came home from work and took her away. And I feel like that's the privileged position of a woman during the pandemic.
It's very meta that your kid affected the Zoom that you're doing, talking about women in the pandemic. This is very appropriate, yes.
Right, but I wish I could say it was just this one, but it's literally every Zoom. It's always like that. Before you do anything work from home, it's like, oh my God, how am I gonna make this work? And you kind of do. But there have been all kinds of crazy stuff. I've had her, scream during podcasts, and I'll be in the middle of like some serious topic in a podcast and you'll just hear like, mommy, and I feel like a lot of women feel that way, and that's the lucky ones.
Kasha, did you expect to be where you are now personally before the pandemic started?
No, what ended up happening is I did have a feeling that I was going to get engaged actually before the pandemic, around pandemic March or April of 2020, but that didn't happen because things got comedy shows that I thought my boyfriend was going to propose at got canceled. So he just kind of held on to it until later that fall. So I actually thought I was going to get engaged to sooner than what I did. And which I feel like is...
Call them out. Name names.
Yeah.
Say what you want to say.
Well, okay, to be fair, the first time he proposed to me, it was when I was coming out of the bathroom. And I told him, you can't propose to me while I'm literally in the bathroom. So I told him no. And he was like about to show me the ring, and I closed the door. And I'm like, I'm not coming out of the bathroom until you put that thing away. So I guess technically I could have gotten engaged like a month sooner than I did. But either way, it was like still in the fall, and I thought I was going to get engaged to in the spring.
Now, as much as I want to continue with women in the pandemic, Elena and I are going to stay right here. Are we talking about a public restroom, or is this at your house?
Yeah.
I need details.
Yeah.
This was at my house.
Okay.
But still, like, there's no cameras in there. There were no cameras in my bathroom. But I'm like, what kind of ambiance is this? How am I going to re-show this moment to people? Just being like, Kasha's washing her hands, and here, like, he's down on a knee. And I'm like opening the door, and I'm like, why won't this thing open? And it's because, oh, he's on the floor, like blocking the door from opening. So
yeah, he had a captive audience. And to be fair, that's a time when you sit and you evaluate life. So maybe he thought you would be in a good headspace for him to ask you that major life decision.
I was actually on my way. I was running late to a comedy show, an outdoor comedy show. So I was thinking about my set. I'm like, what am I going to say?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was leaving. And then I'm like, what are you thinking? What, I'm going to say yes, and then just like immediately leave you and go tell a bunch of strangers about what just happened to me, which I did.
Now, in Kasha's boyfriend's defense, and yes, I am contractually obligated to offer a male defense, we are trained to allow our emotions to flow when it comes to love. When that moment hits, you are supposed to act on that moment. If it just happens to hit when she left the bathroom, what, you supposed to sit on that moment and wait for something that's more traditional? No, you are supposed to go with that. It's supposed to be about what's in here. Isn't that what you teach us in all the romantic comedies you made me watch all throughout my teens and my early 20s? I got your back, player. Just because you just happened to propose in front of the porta potties at Rock Creek Park. Hey, when the moment hits, it hits. By the way, you can hear more from Elena on the Countercurrents podcast she does with the Arlington Draft House. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts, and you can find the best of Kasha on her YouTube page at Kasha Bianca all one word. I look forward to hearing more about his defense.